Today we are going to do chapter Air. Our earth is surrounded by a huge blanket of air called atmosphere. So children, this is the definition of atmosphere. Let's repeat. Our earth is surrounded by a huge blanket of air called atmosphere. All living beings on this earth depend on the atmosphere for their survival. It provides us with the air we breathe and protects us from the harmful effects of the sun's rays. Without this blanket of protection, we would be baked alive by the heat of the sun during day and get frozen during night. So it is this mass of air that has made the temperature on the earth livable. Now, composition of the atmosphere. So, do you know that the air we take in while breathing is actually a mixture of many gases? Yes, it is. It has many gases in it. Nitrogen being the maximum. Okay? Nitrogen and oxygen are two gases which make up the bulk of the atmosphere. Then, followed by carbon dioxide, helium, ozone, argon, and hydrogen are found in lesser quantities. Apart from these gases, tiny dust particles are also present in the air. The pie chart gives you the percentage of different constituents of the air. So, let's see this figure 4.1 constituents of air. You can clearly see that here nitrogen is 78%. So the bulk is nitrogen. Then the second most gas is oxygen, 21% after nitrogen. Then followed by carbon dioxide, 0.03%, argon 0.93%, and all others like 0.04%. This all others contain dust particles and helium, etc. Okay. Now let's read this paragraph. Nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most plentiful gas in the air. When we inhale, we take some amount of nitrogen into our lungs and exhale it. But plants need nitrogen for their survival. They cannot take nitrogen directly from the air. Bacteria that live in the soil and roots of some plants take nitrogen from the air and change its form so that plants can use it. So, with this paragraph, we came to know that nitrogen is not essential for us human beings, but it is very important for the plants. Okay, so plants need nitrogen more than us. And a bacteria that is present in the soil and roots of some plants, also known as leguminous bacteria, it takes nitrogen from the air and changes its form so that plants can use it. Okay, so now oxygen. Oxygen is the second most plentiful gas in the air. Humans and animals take oxygen from the air as they breathe. Green plants produce oxygen during photosynthesis. We all know that green plants make their food through photosynthesis with the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide, water, and chlorophyll, a green pigment called chlorophyll. From all these four substances, green plants produce their own food, and that is known as photosynthesis. Okay, so now I am reading here. In this way, oxygen content in the air remains constant. If we cut trees, then this balance gets disturbed. Okay, so now the third one. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is another important gas. Green plants use carbon dioxide to make their food. I've just told you in the process of photosynthesis, green plants use carbon dioxide to make their food, and in this process they release oxygen. Humans or animals release carbon dioxide. The amount of carbon dioxide released by humans or animals seem to be equal to the amount used by the plants, which make a perfect balance. However, the balance is upset by burning of fuels such as coal and oil. They add billions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere each year. As a result, the increased volume of carbon dioxide is affecting the Earth's weather and climate. Okay, now before proceeding to the next page, let's come to the first page again and read this blue box on the left hand side. Do you know box? This box. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide released in the atmosphere creates a greenhouse effect by trapping the heat radiated from the earth. It is therefore called a greenhouse gas, and without it, the earth would have been too cold to live in. However, when its level in the atmosphere increases due to factory smoke or car fumes, the heat retained increases the temperature of the earth. This is called global warming. Okay. So this rise in temperature causes the snow in coldest parts of the world to melt. As a result, the sea level rises, causing floods in the coastal areas. There may be drastic changes in the climate of a place, leading to extinction of some plants and animals in the long run. So here you will learn in this paragraph you will learn about the greenhouse gas, the definition of greenhouse gas, along with the definition of global warming. So you have to learn this whole paragraph. Okay. Now come back again to the second page and let's read this another blue box on the right hand side. Do you know box? When air is heated, it expands, becomes lighter and goes up. And cold air is denser and heavy. That is why it tends to sink down. When hot air rises, cold air from the surrounding area rushes there to fill in the gap. That is how the air circulation takes place. Okay? Now the next page. Structure of the atmosphere. So this whole paragraph is very important. Whole page. Okay? So along with the structure we have to learn all these layers of the atmosphere: stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere. Then on the next page, exosphere. Okay, so this whole paragraph you have to learn. Let's start. Structure of the atmosphere. Our atmosphere is divided into 5 layers starting from the Earth's surface. These are troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. And children, you have to learn it in the same sequence. You can't change the sequence. So first layer is troposphere, where we people live. Okay, so this layer is the most important layer of the atmosphere. Its average height is 13 kilometer. Let's repeat, its average height is 13 kilometer. The air we breathe exists here. Almost all the weather phenomena like rainfall, fog and hailstorm occur in this layer. Okay, so this is very important. You have to learn this whole paragraph, troposphere. Now stratosphere. Above the troposphere lies the stratosphere. It extends up to a height of 50 kilometers. I will repeat this line again. It extends up to a height of 50 kilometers. You have to learn all these heights. Okay. This layer is almost free from clouds and associated weather phenomena, making conditions most ideal for flying aeroplanes. Now, one important feature of stratosphere is that it contains a layer of ozone gas. What is ozone gas? Ozone gas is the gas which protects us from the ultraviolet heat rays of the sun. So this layer is very important. Okay. So stratosphere contains a layer of ozone gas, and this is a very important question also in the exam. It can be asked that in which layer you will get ozone gas or a layer of ozone. So you have to give the answer stratosphere there. Okay. I am here. So we have just learned how it protects us from the harmful effect of the sun's rays. Okay. Now mesosphere. Now above the stratosphere is the mesosphere, and this is the third layer of the atmosphere. It lies above the stratosphere. It extends up to a height of 80 kilometer. I repeat, it extends up to a height of 80 kilometer. So troposphere is 13 kilometer, then stratosphere is 50 kilometer, and then mesosphere is 80 kilometers. Meteoroids burn up in this layer on entering from the surface. Okay, so you have to learn this. Then thermosphere. Now above the mesosphere is thermosphere. In thermosphere, temperature rises very rapidly with increasing height. Ionosphere is a part of this layer. Okay, it extends between 80 to 400 kilometer. I repeat, in the thermosphere layer, it extends between 80 to 400 kilometers. This layer helps in radio transmission. In fact, radio waves transmitted from the earth are reflected back to the earth by this layer. Okay. Now, the uppermost layer, exosphere. The uppermost layer of the atmosphere is known as exosphere. This layer has very thin air. Light gases like helium and hydrogen float into the space from here. So you have to learn all this starting from here, ending here. You have to learn all this. This is very important. Okay, children? Now let's study the diagram. This diagram. See, this is a diagram. This also you have to practice. So you can see the first layer, troposphere. You can see it extends up to 13 kilometer. Then up till 50 kilometer. you will find stratosphere. Okay, here 50 kilometer you will find stratosphere. See stratopause, tropopause. Then from here till 80 kilometer you will find mesosphere, mesopause. Then from 80 extends up to their thermosphere, then exosphere. Okay, so you have to practice this. You can see the meteoroids here in mesosphere. Then you can see aeroplane flying, ozone layer in stratosphere. Then you can see this Mount Everest in troposphere. Okay, so you have to practice this diagram as well. Now the next topic, weather and climate. It is going to rain today. Will it be bright and sunny today? How many times have we heard this from anxious cricket fans speculating the fate of a one-day match? If you imagine our body to be a radio and the mind its speaker, weather is something that fiddles with its control knobs. Weather is this hour to hour, day to day condition of the atmosphere. I repeat, this is the definition of weather. Weather is hour to hour, day to day condition of the atmosphere. Okay, so this is the definition of weather. A hot or humid weather may make one irritable. A pleasant, breezy weather may make one cheerful and even plan for an outing. Weather can change dramatically from day to day. However, the average weather condition of a place for a longer period of time represents the climate of a place. So this is the definition of climate now. The average weather condition of a place, the average weather condition of a place for a longer period of time represents the climate of a place. Okay, now before proceeding to the next topic, let's read this do you know box on the right hand side. You will be surprised to know that the earth receives only 1 in 2 into 10 to the power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to the power 9 parts of the sun's energy. You have to learn this, okay? And we can write it as 2 multiplied by 10 to the power 9. 9, okay? Now temperature. The temperature you feel every day is the temperature of the atmosphere. The degree of hotness and coldness of the air is known as temperature. Now this is the definition again of temperature you have to learn. The degree of hotness and coldness of the air is known as temperature. The temperature of the atmosphere changes not only between day and night, but also from season to season. Summers are hotter than winters. Now, an important factor that influences the distribution of temperature is insolation. What is insolation? The definition: insolation is the incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth. I repeat, insolation is the incoming solar energy intercepted by the earth. The amount of insolation decreases from the equator towards the pole. This is also a very important line. This comes in true, false, then in filling the blanks as well. The amount of insolation decreases from the equator towards the poles. Therefore, the temperature decreases in the same manner. Now, do you understand why poles are covered with snow? If the Earth's temperature rises too high, it would become too warm for some crops to grow. Temperature in cities is much higher than that of villages. The concrete and metal in buildings and the asphalt of roads gets heated up during the day. This heat is released during the night. Also, the crowded high-rise buildings of the cities trap the warm air and thus raise the temperature of the cities. So this is also a very important question arises here. See, if you can be asked that why the temperature in cities is higher than that in villages. So the answer will be the concrete and metal in buildings and the asphalt of roads get heated up during the day. This heat is released during the night. Also, the crowded high-rise buildings of the cities trap the warm air and thus raise the temperature of the cities. So this is the answer to the question why the temperature in cities is much higher than that of villages. So you have to learn this question as well. Then the do you know box here on the left hand side. The standard unit of measuring temperature is degrees Celsius. It was invented by Anders Celsius. On the Celsius scale, the water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius and boils at 100 degrees Celsius. Now before proceeding to the next topic, please come back to the last page again and let's read this figure 4.3 by the instruments. And children, these 4 definitions, you have to learn all these 4 definitions as well. Like thermometer, it measures the temperature. Barometer, it measures atmospheric pressure. These are also very important questions. You can get these questions as filling the blanks. Like dash measures atmospheric pressure. So there you have to write barometer. And you have to learn the spellings also very clearly. Then rain gauge. It measures the amount of rainfall. Then wind vane shows the direction of the wind. So then I'm making a star here. This, yeah, this is the perfect one. This diagram is very important. Now come to the next page. Topic will be air pressure. Now you will be surprised to know that air above us presses us with great force on our bodies. However, we don't even feel it. This is because the air presses us from all directions and our body exerts a counter pressure. So, air pressure is defined as a pressure exerted by the weight of air on the Earth's surface. I repeat, air pressure is defined as the pressure exerted by the weight of air on the Earth's surface. As we go up the layer of atmosphere, the pressure falls rapidly. The air pressure is highest at sea level and decreases with height. Horizontally, the distribution of air pressure is influenced by temperature of air at a given place. In areas where temperature is high, the air gets heated and rises. This creates a low pressure area. So low pressure area is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather. Again, this line is very important. Low pressure is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather. This line you will get in true false, you will get in filling the blanks. So I am repeating it again. Low pressure is associated with cloudy skies and wet weather. Then in areas with having lower temperature, the air is cold. It is therefore heavy. So heavy air sinks and creates a high pressure area. High pressure is associated with clear and sunny skies. Again, you have to learn this line. High pressure is associated with clear and sunny skies. The air always moves from high pressure areas to low pressure areas. Now again this blue blocks on the do you know box on the left hand side. On the moon there is no air and hence no air pressure. So astronauts have to wear special protective space suits filled with air when they go to the moon. If they did not wear these space suits, the counter pressure exerted by the body of the astronauts will make the blood vessels burst. Astronauts would bleed. So this is also a very important question. Like they can ask you why the astronauts wear special suits when they go in the atmosphere. So you have to write this whole paragraph. What will be the answer? On the moon there is no air, hence no air pressure. So astronauts have to wear special protective space suits filled with air when they go to the moon. If they did not wear these spacesuits, the counter pressure exerted by the body of the astronauts would make the blood vessels burst. The astronauts would bleed. Now the next topic, wind. The movement of air from high pressure area to low pressure areas is called wind. So let's repeat this definition again and you have to learn this definition. The movement of air here till here, the movement of air from high pressure area to low pressure area is called wind. You can see wind at work as it blows dry leaves down the pavement or uproots trees during a storm. Sometimes when the wind blows gently, you can even see it blowing away smoke or fine dust. At times, wind can be so strong that it is difficult to walk against it. You must have experienced it is not easy to hold an umbrella on a windy day. Think of some other examples when strong winds have created problems for you. Okay, now before proceeding to the next page, let's see this blue box again. Do you know box on the left hand side? A wind is named after the direction from which it blows. Example, the wind blowing from the west is called westerly, and similarly the wind blowing from the east is called easterly. Now the next page. Winds can be divided broadly into three types. Number one, permanent winds. So the trade winds, westerlies and easterlies are the permanent winds. These blow constantly throughout the year in a particular direction. So you have to again learn this paragraph, all these 3 points. Permanent winds, the trade winds, westerlies and easterlies are the permanent winds. These blow constantly throughout the year in a particular direction. Then seasonal winds. As the name suggests, these winds change the direction in different seasons. So these are seasonal winds. For example, monsoons in India. Okay. Then the local winds. These blow only during a particular period of the day or year in a small area, locally. For example, land and sea breeze. Okay, so now do you recall the hot and dry local wind of northern plains of India? It is called Lu. Again, this is the definition of Lu. They can ask you what is Lu. So you have to write the hot and dry local wind of northern plains of India is called Lu. Now, cyclone, nature's fury. Orissa, located on the eastern seacoast of India, is prone to cyclones that originate in the Bay of Bengal. On 17 to 18 October 1999, cyclone hit 5 districts of the state. Another super cyclone occurred on 29th October 1999 that devastated large portions of the state. The damages caused were mainly due to three factors. Number 1, wind velocity, number 2, rain, and number 3, tidal surge. Now we will read about all these three factors here, okay? Now the winds of up to 260 km per hour lasted for over 36 hours. These high velocity winds uprooted trees and damaged the kacha houses. Rooftops of several industrial sheds and other houses were also blown away. Power supply and telecom lines snapped completely. Now we are reading about rain. Heavy rain occurred under the influence of the cyclone for 3 days continuously. These rains led to the flooding in the major rivers of Odisha. The cyclonic winds caused tidal waves that swept 20 km inland and brought massive destruction to the coastal areas. The 7 to 10 meter high tidal wave intruded suddenly and caused massive damage to the standing paddy crops. The cyclone originated as a depression in the Gulf of Thailand, near east of Port Blair, on 25th October 1999 and gradually moved in a northwestward direction. It intensified into a super cyclone and hit the area between Irazama and Balikuda in Orissa on 29th October at 10:30 am. The super cyclone swept the entire coast of Odisha, including the cities of Bhubaneswar and Cuttack and 28 coastal towns. About 13 million people were affected. A large number of livestock were killed. Standing crops of paddy, vegetables, and fruits were heavily damaged. Due to salinization caused by tidal surge, large tracts of agricultural land have turned infertile. Large tracts of sal, teak, and bamboo plantations have disappeared. The mangrove forest between Paradeep and Konark vanished. Now, the next topic, moisture. When water evaporates from land and different water bodies, it becomes water vapor. Moisture in the air at any time is known as humidity. So, moisture can be defined as the amount of humidity in the air. Okay. Now, when the air is full of water vapor, we call it a humid day. As the air gets warmer, its capacity to hold the water vapor increases and so it becomes more and more humid. So, on a humid day, clothes take longer to dry and sweat from our body does not evaporate easily, making us feel very uncomfortable. When the water vapor rises, it starts cooling. The water vapor condenses, causing formation of droplets of water. Clouds are just masses of such water droplets. When these water droplets of water become too heavy to float in air, then they come down as precipitation. Now, precipitation can be of any form. It can be rain, it can be snow, it can be sleet. Now, jet planes flying in the sky leave a wide trail behind them. The moisture from the engines condenses. We see trails of this condensed moisture for some time when there is no air movement to disturb it. Now, children, this is a very important question. You can be asked and give reason that why the jet planes in the sky leave a wide trail behind them. So the answer will be jet planes flying in the sky leave a wide trail behind them. The moisture from the engines condenses. We see trails of this condensed moisture for some time when there is no air movement to disturb it. Precipitation that comes down to the earth in liquid form is called rain. So this is the definition of rain. Precipitation that comes down to the earth in liquid form is called as rain. Most of the groundwater comes from rainwater. Plants help preserve water. When trees on hillsides are cut, rainwater flows down the bare mountains and can cause flooding of low-lying areas. On the basis of this mechanism, there are three types of rainfall. the convectional rainfall, the orographic rainfall, and the cyclonic rainfall. Now see in figure 4.5 you can see all these three types of rainfall, the diagrams of all these three types of rainfall. See here the first one is cyclonic rainfall, then orographic or relief rainfall, and then convectional rainfall. Okay. Now, rainfall is very important for the survival of plants and animals. It brings fresh water to the earth's surface. If rainfall is less, water scarcity and drought occur. On the other hand, if it is more, floods take place. So whole paragraph is the answer to the question, like we can be asked what are the advantages and disadvantages of rainfall. So advantages will be rainfall is very important for the survival of plants and animals. It brings fresh water to the earth's surface. And disadvantages will be if the rainfall is less, water scarcity and drought occur. On the other hand, if it is more, floods take place. Now this last do you know box on the right hand side. Other forms of precipitation are snow, sleet and hail. Here we come to the end of this chapter. I will upload the exercises in the next video. Thank you.